not planned. I don't have anything like really concrete that I'm gonna talk about. I just wanted to sit down and see where my brain took me, what memories I could share with you, and I hope it can make you feel safe and maybe nostalgic, and maybe help you think of things that make you happy, and that, you know, I don't know, there's definitely a big form of comfort right now with nostalgia right now, because there's just so much uncertainty, and so going back and thinking of things you remember and you're fond of is really, really cool. So I hope you enjoy, and let's just delve into my mind. Okay, so the first memory I wanted to talk about was I had my best friend from kindergarten. We did everything together from kindergarten until about 6th grade, and then I moved away from that city, but she lived right across the street from me, and so we spent all the time together. We always played with each other. We on weekends we were, inseparable. We didn't do anything without each other, and there were always things that like she had that I envied, but she was always very kind and let me play with them or use them. So one of the things was these little, I looked it up, and they're called like flip glosses by Bonnabelle, I believe. And there were these little silver containers that when you pushed this little lever up the side, like a little lip gloss lipstick thing came up. And my friend had this, and I was so jealous. I didn't really get to like wear makeup or lip gloss growing up, so I was always really jealous of it. But she always let me like either put it on or just like play with it. So she also had this Barbie that was the locker Barbie. And basically there was a like school Barbie, and it came with a little miniature locker. But the cool thing was you could like put notes. You could like put little notes in. Oh, the lighting is changing very rapidly. You could put notes inside the locker and then like turn it, and when you opened it, it would like have a little secret message in there. And I loved that Barbie so much, and I just remember those two things specifically that I was always like, wow, I wish I had that. That was in elementary school. Another memory I have is when I was growing up, I got to visit the West Coast beaches, and we got to go like once or twice a year with my whole family. And when we went to the beach, these are like colder beaches. They're not like warm, sunny, tropical white sand beaches. And a couple of things that I remember is like the first time you can see the ocean when you're driving to the beach, and so you're getting close. It's been a long time in the car, and then someone goes, oh my gosh, I just saw the ocean. And I just remember always this like swelling excitement and just like peace that I felt even as a kid, just like being able to think about going to the beach and like spending time with my family and playing games and just like not worrying about anything but being with them. And so I remember like the first glimpse of the ocean when we would go, and then we would always like rent like houses together, and we would all, when we would get there, we'd unpack and like get everything settled, but then we would like immediately go walk to the beach. And I just, every time that first step on the beach is so like indescribable. I'm like getting emotional thinking about it, but there's just something so special about having those places in your life where you can go, and there's like you can find that piece, and I remember having that as a kid, and it was so cool. And I always remember like wearing hoodies because it's like a chilly beach, so I'd always like wear a hoodie or a cute little jacket and be all bundled up with my grandparents and my aunt and uncle and my dad, and it was just very special. So that's something I think about a lot. Let's see, what else? Oh, okay, so in elementary school, we had a chess tournament one year. I think I was in 4th grade. I think it was 4th grade. Actually, yeah, it was 4th grade. I remember we had a chess, it was 5th grade. Anyway, we had a chess tournament with our, so I went to this, like, I hate calling it gifted program, but I had like a gifted program, like style elementary school, and so the grades that were in this quote-unquote gifted program, we all did a chess tournament together, and I won the whole thing. Like, you know, we had stages where we like, you know, the bracket system, and so I remember going up against everyone and winning, and like, honestly, I think it was half luck, because like I knew what I was doing, but I also didn't, like, I was a freaking elementary school student. I didn't know exactly what was going on, so I just remember like winning and being like, okay, I will take this even though I feel like I don't deserve it. So that was really weird. And every year in elementary school, we had a like yearly musical with all of the grades, and they were always like educational, and like one year it was about like Lewis and Clark, another one it was about like the history of music, and that one was my favorite. So yeah, I was Cher in one of the scenes, and I wore this like really long, really like not good long black wig that was like parted down the middle, this really cute like sequiny dress, and like these like platform heels, and I think I was in 2nd grade, so it was like very humorous because I did not obviously look anything like Cher, but I got to lip sync I Got You Babe, and it was so fun. And that like these yearly musicals that we did in elementary school definitely sparked my love of theater, which I did up until college. But yeah, these like, I still remember some of the songs from the elementary school. One of them from the first like opening scene of this musical, the music one, it was, we put the rock, we put the rock, we put the roll, we put the roll. Since the dawn of time, we've only had one goal. Put the rock, rock, rock into the rock and roll. And it goes on, and I can like remember most of it, but it was like, it was a whole bunch of people dressed as like, you know, cavemen, quote unquote cavemen and women, and they were like rolling stones and stuff, and it was supposed to be this play on rocks and also like rock and roll. So anyway, I honestly, elementary school, although there was like some mild bullying and like whatever, which I feel like everyone had to go through, honestly, elementary school was amazing, and I feel so lucky to be at the elementary school I was at, and to be surrounded by really smart, unique individuals. And I miss elementary school a lot, which is like silly to say, but it's true. Speaking of, I'll give you like a little not so fun memory, but now it's funny, but I feel like it's only right to have memories that are also a little like not so great, because we have good and bad memories. So I had a couple of like quote unquote best friends in elementary school, and like one of my best friends that I like really, really cared about, we hung out a lot. And then I had another friend that lived close to me in my neighborhood, like I would say 3 houses, like it was like across and then 3 houses down. And I hung out with her quite a bit too. But there was a time where I was spending a lot of time with like, not my neighborhood friend, but this other friend a lot, and we were just was like, okay, like, I'll go with you. And this other friend who was like hanging around was like, oh my gosh, you guys hang out so much, are you like lesbians? And like, I feel like for most of us growing up, like in the early 2000s, being called like gay or lesbian was like an insult, you know? And I took it as that. I was like, oh my gosh, no. Like, that's so rude. And we had to like go to the counselor's office and like talk through it, and it was a whole big thing. But I find that really hilarious now, because I'm a big old like gay bag. So I just find it funny because I was so offended back then. Like, oh my god, no, I would never be like in love with a girl, especially my best friend. And now look at me. So that's a fun one. Also, don't use that as an insult anymore. If you're still using like gay as an insult in 2020, you should probably go seek assistance. Okay, I'm sorry, a lot of these are from like childhood, because I feel like there was less worry, so I feel like my brain retained more, because now I'm just stressed all the time. So I think it was in first grade, I got the chicken pox, and it was awful. So itchy. But I had the chicken pox during the day when we had like a fun run or like a fun fair. What were they called? Like, not rally days. You know what I'm talking about, where you like go outside and there's like activities all over the place. They have like hula hooping and bean bags and I don't know, whatever that. But I was missing that day in first grade, and I was so upset because I wanted to be with my friends and like playing outside and all that, and I was stuck inside, itchy. Anyway, what made up for it was I got to rent a couple of Nintendo 64 games, which I got to occasionally rent from like Blockbuster, but honestly, I mostly just played the games that like we owned. So it was like a big deal that I got to rent a couple of games to play, and one of them was like the Rugrats in Paris. Was that it? I don't know, it was like a Rugrats Nintendo 64 game, and then Yoshi's Island. And those are the two games I remember playing and being so excited about. And it definitely made up for like not being around my friends and not being outside. Obviously it didn't like, it wasn't better, but it like was okay, and I felt like content with my Nintendo 64 games. So yeah, remember when we had to go rent video games at a freaking Blockbuster. Okay, what's another memory? I'm trying to think like further into the future, out of elementary school, because I'm gonna spend like 10 hours on elementary school. You can tell where I spent all of my like emotionally peaceful and wonderful memories come from. Okay, what happened in 7th grade? 7th and 8th grade were rough, I'm not gonna lie to you. 7th and 8th grade, well, 7th through 9th probably, but really 7th and 8th grade were like really bad for me, to be honest. Specifically 8th grade. I was moving around a lot during middle school, and it was not good. And you know, I feel like in middle school it's already really rough with you changing and you just like not knowing who you are, and a lot of bullying happens, I think, in middle school. So yeah, 7th and 8th grade are not great, and I'm trying to like remember happy, good memories, which I'm sure there's plenty, but it's like harder to think about, if that makes sense. Oh my gosh, okay. I do remember like the last day of 8th grade, I went to a private school for 8th grade, and so they were very, very small classes. I would say there's probably like 20 people total in 8th grade, and we like were split up into 2 groups, about 20. I could be wrong, but I think it was like 20 to 30 people. Anyway, anyway, I remember bringing my, like, what was it called? iMovie flip. Those little, do you remember those little white, recorders, like video recorders that it like had a little USB thing that flipped out the side and you could just plug it right into your, laptop or computer or whatever. What were those called? Whatever. Those like ones that all the vloggers had for like ever. Well, I remember bringing mine because I had one and like recording people all day at the end of 8th grade. And I feel like I have them somewhere, but I can't find them. I think they're on my mom's computer. Anyway, I just remember like going around and being so like, we're out of 8th grade, we're going to high school, and just like recording everyone, and it was really cool. And we were listening to this song, the longer boats are coming to get us, coming to get us. I think that's what it is. That's what the actual words are. But as weird 8th graders, we always said the llamas are coming to get us instead of the longer boats or something. I don't know. Whatever it was, we said the llamas are coming to get us, and that was like the friggin' thing. And I just remember like being so silly, and man, middle school's rough, you know what I mean? We're all trying to be like cool and like a little weird and unique and quirky, and not, we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. Okay, let's think forward. Oh my gosh, okay, this is in college, so we're skipping way ahead. We're skipping way ahead to, there was a bar that I went to. Please be responsible in college as best as possible, and don't underage drink, okay? But we went to this bar, and they were having a special on whole champagne bottles. It was like the crappiest champagne you could get, but you know what I mean? It was like, you could just get a full bottle, and that was like, it was cheap, and that was the deal of the night. And I can't remember if it was my birthday or if it was just a random like weekend, but I remember going to the bar and like having this deal, and so we, like, my friend group got a few, and I just remember dancing in this like, you know, really gross, like not cleanly, not safe for women bar, and I was just like going hard, like just dancing and just like not caring and yelling at the top of my lungs. And I remember one of my friends popping one of these bottles of champagne open, and I opened my mouth and they just poured it into my mouth, and it was just going down my chin, and I was just like, and it was and it was just one of those moments that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in a movie. I have no cares. Like, this is the best. This is what like being an adult is. And I just remember like that moment of being like, I'm in a Hollywood movie, you know? So that was fun. Also, I'll get the like bad drinking stories out of the way. I also remember this other time I was at a house party, and there's a cake there, and all of these guys are doing cake stands, and you know, everyone's like 1, 2, you know, counting to see how long these people could do a cake stand, which, if you don't know, is when there's a beer keg, which is like a kind of like a barrel almost, and it has a spout where the drink comes out of. And so you would put oh god, it's so gross. You would put this like thing, this spout in your mouth, and people would hold you up. So you're like basically upside down doing a handstand on top of this and chugging it. It's so unhealthy and bad for you, and please be responsible. Don't do this. Don't do this. Anyway, and so I was like, you know, watching all these guys guys do it, and I think there were a couple girls doing it. But I was like, I had such a, like, not ego, but I was like, I want to show up, like, show off and be like, these guys are nothing. I, like, psyched myself up, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And I was like, I want to do a cake stand. So everyone, you know, two guys, like, lifted me up. I put the, I was, like, standing there, and then I, like, it starts when to, you know, put the spout in your mouth. So I put the spout in my mouth, and I went, and people were screaming and going, you know, 5, 6, and it was, like, going up to the, they were counting up, and I was about to pass the, like, longest time that a guy did, or anyone did, and then I went past it, and everyone was like, oh, you know, like, this person's going even further, and she's a girl. And I just remember being so, like, hyped that I was showing up all these guys. And my friend was recording it, and I'm assuming it's deleted and, like, lost in some old phone, but there is a video of me doing that, so maybe one day it'll resurface and that'll be my scandal. But yeah, so I showed up, everyone, and I got the longest time, so anyway, let's see, what's another story? Okay, so my mom promised me a trip to Europe after I graduated high school. We had never traveled abroad together, besides when I was, like, very young. We went to Mexico, but I barely remember that. So she promised to pay for a trip for us to go to London and Paris. And so after I graduated high school that summer, we went, and it was super cool, and I got to see the Harry Potter studios, which had all of the scenes and just, like, a lot of behind the scenes, like, stuff. And I got to drink butterbeer. We went through to all the sites. I went to, you know, all of the London sites and places. I hated that I just said that in a horrible accent. Anyway, then we went to Paris for a little bit, on the, what is it called? Is it the Channel? What is the train that goes from Paris to London? Anyway, we went on that, and we spent a couple days in Paris. And I remember one of the days I was wearing this, like, what was I wearing? Was I wearing my floral? I think I was wearing a floral dress. Anyway, I was wearing a cute outfit. I had my cute little red sunglasses, and I could drink in, you know, in Paris because I was of age, and it was like, you know, I had never drank before, and it felt very like, wow, I'm an adult. So we went to this cute little cafe on the corner of a Paris street, and we sat outside, and we got to watch everyone walk by on the sidewalks, and it was very just, like, Parisian, and I felt like I was a superstar in a freaking rom-com or something. And so I remember we got pasta, and then I got a glass of red wine. Just one, oh, that's what it was. I was wearing a black and white polka dot dress. It was black with white polka dots. I digress. And so I had my glass of wine and my pasta dish, and I remember there's, like, a photo of me, like, holding it and being like, you know, being, like, super cute. So yeah, I don't know, I just remember that because it felt so, like, perfect. And I felt like I was an adult, and that I, like, knew who I was, you know, all that stuff. But it was really cool. And I later, when I went to college the next year, I actually wrote a little piece about it called Paris People. And it was about me sitting at that little cafe and all the people that I saw, and kind of, like, wondering about their lives and how I perceived them, and what, like, you know, what I thought about them and what I thought their lives were like. I went into college as a theater minor and an English major, and then that turned into a double major of English and journalism. But so I did a lot of writing and reading, and I would say the first 2 years of college I spent a lot of time writing short pieces, specifically, like, creative this like probably 3 or 4 years now. But I used to love writing little creative nonfiction pieces, and so yeah, it was kind of cool that I got to write about that moment in Paris, because it did stick with me for sure. Let me end on, I feel like I should end on a more recent note, and then we can wrap up the video. I hope that, although this might be a little boring for some people, I hope that it could be like, I don't know, talking to a new friend that you're just getting to know and you're talking about old memories. I don't know. I always hope that you guys feel, even if it's not a super involved video, that I do care, and that these ideas aren't just like out of nowhere. There's a little thought that goes behind them, and a reason. So I hope you can find some comfort in nostalgia. I'm gonna end on talking about meeting Friv for the first time, because I feel like, I don't know, I got to meet a few creators this past year, and it was just so cool and affirming to be around people that I had been talking to online for a while, but, you know, had never met in person. And so I met a few people at TwitchCon, but I was really, really, really excited about Friv. And so we were texting. I was texting people from the Discord, from her community, and I was trying to figure out where they were. And so we were at TwitchCon, and it was nighttime the first night, and they were at a bar. And so I remember like getting ready, being so nervous, like I was like sweating and like shaking, because it's just nerve-wracking to like meet people, especially people you look up to and admire, and like consider people that are important to you, even if you've never met them before. And so I remember going into this loud bar, and I started meeting all these people from my community too, and from Discord, and just, it was wild, because it was this dichotomy of like, the only context before that I had with these people were like relaxing and whispering for them, and like, you know, pretty mild online interaction, and then I was like screaming in these people's ears, like hugging these people. It was sweaty, it was loud. And then I remember going outside, and Friv was there, and I was meeting someone else, and I like got to hug her, and it was just so surreal and wonderful to be able to like touch someone and like be there and see them. And so we spent the rest of the night like dancing, and it was a lot, I'm not gonna lie, but it was fun. But the best part was me and my partner and her and Tyler, we got to have dinner together, not the next day, it was probably the day after that, but we got to just sit down and just chat, and we got to chat for a couple of hours. We ate pasta and had some wine, and it was just like, it's so cool to like be around someone and it feeling like nothing's different or weird, and it's just like perfectly worked. And it was just so fun and wholesome to sit down with her and be goofy and be serious and talking about, you know, beliefs, but also, you know, about going to the bathroom and just like such a wide range of things. And it felt so cool and comfortable, and I feel so lucky that I got to like meet her and other creators that I admire and care about so much. And I hope that, you know, I got to meet Matty Tingles, I got to meet Goodnight Moon, I got to meet GB, I got to meet like Soma Green from Twitch, Naren from Twitch, I got to meet so many different creators, and it's so wonderful. And I would say those have been the really high points recently, is like connecting with people that also do ASMR, who also know what it's like to be a content creator, and having that really personal bond. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope that you could find some silliness, some comfort, some new things things about me that you may have not known. And I hope that you can take time to be aware of the present and know what's happening, but also I think dabbling in escapism sometimes isn't bad, especially when it helps you cope in certain scenarios, and you're also able to not do it all the time, but do it in a healthy amount that makes you feel safe. So please keep that in mind, and I will see you in the next video. I love you guys so much.